In part 1, we explain why Key Biscayne works as a rare second home market that can also make sense as a primary address. Now we get to the part buyers usually do not see, the parcel math underneath the lifestyle. One number changes the whole frame. On the median single family home here, more than 81 cents of every value dollar sits in the land, not the house. That is not a design preference, that is the market. I pulled the numbers and they say this island is selling location in its purest form. Alejandro has been waiting very patiently to make that sound more interesting than a spreadsheet.
Key Biscayne sells an image first, but the structure underneath that image is much more specific. For this episode, we are looking only at single-family homes, not condos, not townhomes. And that matters because those excluded segments behave differently. Inside this lane, the island is surprisingly narrow in what it actually offers. Only about 17.5% of the single-family inventory is full waterfront. More than 82% is landlocked. And partial waterfront is basically a rounding error at 3 homes. 3. The marketing says endless water fantasy. The parcel map says most buyers are still competing for dry lots on a very expensive island. That tension is the whole story. The waterfront itself is also not the story people assume. The dominant exposure here is west-facing, then south-facing, which means this is a Biscayne Bay and canal market, not an oceanfront one. There are 0 oceanfront single-family properties in this dataset. None. On an island with this reputation, that is almost elegant. The prestige is real. It is just pointed in a different direction. Size tells the same story. The median home runs about 3,456 square feet, and the median lot is about 7,837 square feet. So this is not Pinecrest-style sprawl. It is tighter, scarcer, and much more about position than sheer acreage. The emotional version is obvious. The technical version is brutal. Andrew has the specifics.
Here are the specifics, and they are unusually clear. We ran the full Key Biscayne parcel set, then narrowed this video to 1,280 single-family homes, with vacant land kept only as context. Condos and townhomes are excluded from this analysis. That is important because mixing product types here would blur the actual pricing logic. Now the central metric. The median land to total just value ratio for a single-family property is 0.818. On full waterfront homes, it rises to 0.873. Put differently, the site is doing most of the financial work. In fact, land value exceeds building value on nearly the entire single-family inventory. The usual listing language about finishes and upgrades does not disappear, but it does become secondary. The waterfront premium is also not subtle. Median just land value on full waterfront is about $8,308,000. Landlocked is about $1,992,000. That is roughly a 317% premium. Median qualified sale price tells the same story, about $6,400,000 on full waterfront versus about $2,162,000 on landlocked homes. Same island, very different underwriting. Save Our Homes adds the next layer. Homesteaded assessed values can only rise 3% per year, so the gap between what buyers pay and what the tax roll recognizes keeps widening. Recent sale data shows that gap moving higher from about parity in 2020 to materially above assessed value by 2025 and higher again in early 2026. Subscribe now because in the next video we go directly into market dynamics at the transaction level, how the market looks today, and what to expect through the rest of the year. Those are the numbers. What they mean for the lived market, Alejandro can take from here.
What Andrew just laid out is why Key Biscayne feels different even before anyone says the price out loud. A lot of luxury neighborhoods are selling a bigger house. This one is often selling a harder coordinate. And once you know that, the age of the housing stock becomes much more interesting. More than a third of these homes were built in the 1950s, and nearly 45% show a meaningful renovation signal. So the island is constantly negotiating with itself. Original ranch-era bones on one side, newer rebuild logic on the other. That is why some streets feel settled, and others feel like someone is quietly underwriting the next version of the block. There is also a scarcity story hiding in the land itself. 46 vacant parcels exist in the dataset, 15 of them full waterfront. On an island with one road in, one road out, and no meaningful new land coming, that is not inventory. That is optionality with palm trees. The vacant lot market has been active too, at a median sale price above the overall single-family median, which is another way of saying the raw dirt is not waiting for a discount. So here is the comment question. If we do the next breakdown on one excluded segment, which should it be first? Condos or townhomes? And what would you want us to focus on? Pricing, supply, or building level quality? Vladimir has the broader market read.
The broader read is that Key Biscayne behaves less like a normal neighborhood and more like a constrained tax-advantaged island system. More than 22% of homes with recorded deed history have not changed hands in over 20 years, and the mean hold period runs meaningfully above the median. That is a classic supply lock signature. Add the ownership structure, and the picture sharpens further. Roughly 39% of all single-family homes are held by entities, and on full waterfront that climbs above 55%. In other words, a large share of the most valuable inventory is not held for ordinary turnover. It is held through trusts, limited liability companies, and long-duration wealth structures. The technical term is ownership concentration. The lived effect is fewer natural sellers. That matters because working with big data realty means you are not getting only traditional realtor services. You are also getting a clear picture of what is actually driving the market, why certain homes command a premium, where negotiating leverage exists, and how to position for the best possible deal. We combine transaction-level analysis, parcel-level analysis, and local market expertise to give you information that is simply not available in a typical listing search and usually not available anywhere else in one place. So before you schedule a tour, before you set an asking price, and before you make an offer based on intuition alone, reach out to Big Data Realty. We will dig into the numbers with you and help you see the market the way professionals do.